Dear students, welcome back to the zoology lecture module. This is our lecture number 5. Okay, so this is our lecture number 5. Lecture number 5 on animal kingdom. In this lecture, we will see that how animals could further be of different types based upon the ninth feature. Based upon the ninth feature. And the ninth feature is the appendages. Appendages. Now, what are appendages? The students, appendages are structures which basically arise from the main body of the organism. So let me write down. These are the structures which arise, structures which extend rather, which extend from the main body of an organism. Of an organism. Now, what I am talking about, you can think of, say, for example, your arms and legs. They are the appendages which arise from your main body. And you can think about the legs of the insects. They are also the appendages which arise from the main body of the organism. So say, for example, this is the main body of an organism, maybe an insect body. We see that from the body what arises are the legs, for example. So we'll call these extensions, we will call them appendages. Okay, now you have different types of appendages in different organisms. Let me get some examples for the appendages, and let me first of all tell you what is the main job of these appendages. The major function, although they perform diverse functions, but majorly the function of appendages is to help the organism to obtain its food. So one of the function is that appendages help the organism in feeding, in obtaining food. And the same appendages help an organism in movement from one place to another place. That is called locomotion. So appendages mainly help an organism. I'm saying mainly, otherwise they have different functions. They help the organism in obtaining the food. I said feeding. They help the organism in moving from one place to another place. I use the word locomotion. Now let us get some examples of appendages. Let us look at some examples of appendages. So over here we can talk about number one example is the tentacles. Okay, who doesn't know about tentacles? You have an image, you in lower classes you are being taught about the hydra which lives in water. So hydra, this is the body of the hydra, and it has these extensions near the mouth. Okay, these structures, these are the structures which are called tentacles, and they fall for the best example of appendages. So you'll see tentacles in whom? You'll see tentacles in hydra, and these tentacles help the organism, help this hydra in capturing its food. These tentacles beat and they help the hydra to obtain food. So it helps, the tentacles help the hydra to obtain food. Even on these tentacles, you can remember over here that upon the tentacles, you will find specialized cells. So over here, I have made, say, for example, on tentacles, you will find out specialized cells, which you call sting cell. So we can remember that tentacles also help in defense. They also help in defense. They help in keeping the predators away because of the presence of sting cells. Okay. And the third function which the tentacles do is they help the hydra in locomotion. Okay. Let me take another example of the appendages. The second example of appendages is that of parapodia. Parapodia, you will find these appendages in annelids. The example is nares. Nares is basically an annelid. Like you have earthworm, an annelid, nares is also an annelid. So it's an annelid organism. This nares has appendages called parapodia. See, for example, this is the body of nares. So it is a segmented body. So these are the segments of its body. So say, for example, I'm showing you the representation. So suppose this is the nares. And you will find out from the sides, you'll find these appendages. Let me take blue color. So you'll find these appendages on sides, these appendages. They are roughly going to be, leaf shaped, leaf shaped. These appendages are called parapodia. Now, what do you remember about them? They are leaf-like flat structures. Leaf-like flat structures are parapodia. And these parapodia help the nares. These parapodia help the nares in, number one is locomotion. So these appendages help the nares in locomotion, and the same parapodia help the nares in respiration also. Point to be noted here. So you have some appendages for helping in the helping in the function of respiration also. Let us take third example of appendages. The third easiest example is that of the fins. So who do have fins? Who are the organisms who have fins? The easy example is the fish. And you know the job of these fins. These fins help the organism in swimming. They have other tasks to do, but generally they help the fishes in swimming. The fourth example is that of the limbs. If we talk about ourselves, we have limbs. If we talk about higher animals, if we talk about frogs, toads, cattle, horse, deer, humans, monkeys, apes, these higher animals have limbs as their appendages. And how many limbs? 4 limbs. That's why we use the word tetrapods for these animals, because they have how many limbs? 4 limbed animals. And these limbs help the organism in different sorts of function, like your hands, your arms help you in grasping the food, moving your hands, and your legs help you in locomotion. The fifth example is that of the jointed legs. If you look at insects, they have what? They have jointed legs. Jointed legs you will find in arthropods. So they have jointed legs as appendages for locomotion. So these are some of the examples of your appendages. So appendages are going to be what? They are going to be the structures which are extending from the main body of an organism, which help the organism in mainly in feeding, getting the food, and in locomotion. If you look at arthropods, they don't only have jointed legs. You will find many insects have antenna-like structures. Okay, they have wings also. So they also come under appendages. So these arthropods also have what? They have antenna in the head. Okay, they keep on moving those two antenna. If you think about a cockroach, so they have antenna. Let me write down over here. So they have antenna. So antenna is also an example of an appendage. Antenna on the head. Okay, they have, some of the insects have wings also. So antenna and wings are also examples of appendages which are present in arthropods. Okay, so similarly you can remember that we have one group of animals called mollusks, and mollusks have, let me write down over sixth example. So we have mollusks. Okay, mollusks have a muscular foot. What do they have? They have foot. So I write down foot, and I will help you in remembering. You'll find this structure in mollusks. And this foot also helps the mollusk in locomotion. So mollusk foot is also an example of appendage. So you have tentacle as one of the examples of appendage. So you have tentacle as one of the example of appendage. You have parapodia as another example of appendage. Even these annelids don't have only parapodia, they have seta also. Okay, these annelids. So parapodia is also an appendage. Fins are also appendages. You have limbs as appendages. You have jointed legs, antenna, and wings as appendages. You have foot in mollusk as an appendage. So this was another idea you can remember. This was the 9th criteria which divides the animals into different types. You have some animals with tentacles, some animals with parapodia, and all these structures are basically appendages. Now, let us have an idea about the different types of animals based on the organ systems they have. Based on the organ systems. So the 10th, feature which we'll put into consideration is the organ systems. Organ systems. See, here we are going to talk about the digestive system, the respiratory system, and circulatory system, which are of different types as far as different organisms are concerned. Let me make you understand. First of all, let me focus on the digestive system. Let us focus on digestive system. Let us understand how animals could be of different types depending upon their digestive systems. Some of the terms you're already aware of. Some of the terms are there which you already know. So I've already told you that there are some animals which have incomplete alimentary canal. So you have some of the, you know, animals which have incomplete alimentary canal. Once we say incomplete alimentary canal, what comes into our mind is the same hydra. The same hydra which should come to your mind. So hydra has an incomplete alimentary canal. It basically has a mouth and a cavity. Okay. And you have the same mouth. The same mouth is going to help in ingestion of food. So through the same mouth, food is going to go in, and through the same mouth, waste is going to come out. So the same opening is going to do the job of mouth as well as anus. So there is just one opening in the body. There is just one opening, which is fulfilling the job of mouth as well as anus, as is the case with this hydra. So you will call that these animals have incomplete alimentary canal. So the example will be what? The example will be hydra. But some animals, I should use the word higher animals, higher than hydra. What do they have? They have complete alimentary canal. That means they will have an alimentary canal which will have two openings. Okay, there will be a mouth through which intake of food will take place. What is intake of food called? Ingestion. And there will be, obviously, in between you will have the digestive system, that is the an entire tract, digestive tract, and then you will have this opening which is called anus, through which what will happen is egestion. That means the waste will go out. So complete alimentary canal is present in your higher animals. So this is present in your, so incomplete is present in lower animals like hydra, and higher animals have complete alimentary canal. Okay, so complete in which aspect? What do we say complete? Because here we saw how many openings? Two openings. Here there are two openings, and in this case there was just one opening. Okay, this is the one way animals can differ. Now we have another way. We can think about the process of digestion. We can think about the process of digestion. So process of digestion, that is the breakdown of food into simple substances, that process is further of two types. You'll have some animals which will perform intracellular digestion. See the variety, intracellular digestion. And you will have some animals which will perform extracellular digestion. Again, variety of animals. Some being animals which perform intracellular digestion and others performing extracellular digestion. Now, what is digestion? Digestion is, yes, it's the breakdown of complex food into simpler substances like your glucose, galactose, fructose, okay, your fatty acids, your glycerol, your amino acids. That breakdown is called the digestion. Now, this digestion can take place inside the cell or it can take place outside the cell. Accordingly, you call it intracellular and extracellular. So here the digestion, the same process of breakdown takes place inside cell, and here it takes place, it doesn't take inside, it takes place outside cell. That means here the organism will have a proper digestive system. Here the organism will have a proper digestive system. So here you have to think about the proper system, like there will be, as is the case with we people, the esophagus, then we have the stomach, then we have the small intestines, then we have the clump of small intestines. Okay, so there will be a proper system. So digestion is taking place in this system because you have cells present over here. Suppose let me take stomach into consideration. So you have cells over here which are going to release the secretion. So they will release the secretion here, and that secretion, that means they will release the enzymes into the tube, and the digestion is going to take place inside the tube. That means your alimentary canal. The digestion is not going to take place inside the cell. So here there will be a proper alimentary canal where the digestion will take place. But what about what organism which will show intracellular digestion? Here you have to think about organisms like amoeba, which is a unicellular organism. You have to think about an organism like paramecium. What are they? They are unicellular organisms. Whatever, so if there is an amoeba, this is just one cell. It has to basically take the food particle inside. So say for example, this is the food particle. It has to engulf the food particle. It has to take the food particle inside, and that food particle will be taken inside. And inside, once it will be taken, then it will be digested with the help of lysosomes. So over here, you will have inside amoeba, what will be present are these vesicles, what you call lysosomes. They will attack this food vacuole, and they will release their enzymes into the food vacuole. And these enzymes, lysosomal enzymes, they will do what? They will perform digestion of the food particles. So this is now the digested food. Okay, and then this digested food will be taken into the cytoplasm. These simple substances will go into the cytoplasm, and then whatever is the waste, whatever is the undigested food which is present within the same vesicle, that undigested food will be thrown out. That undigested food will be thrown out through the plasma membrane. So what is happening here inside amoeba? What is happening inside amoeba is digestion. Yes, this is what is happening over here is digestion, but this digestion is taking place inside cell. That's why we use the word intracellular digestion. But we didn't so see the same happening in higher animals. In higher animals, we see that the cells, where are the cells? So this is the pointer. These were the cells of the stomach. They are going to release the enzymes into the tube. And these enzymes are going to help in what? Breakdown of complex food into simple substances. So everything, that means the digestion, is taking place in this tube. It's taking place in this tube. That is what? That is outside cell. So lower organisms like your amoeba, your paramecium, they perform intracellular digestion. Whatever is digested inside the cell. Okay, this process is called, let us remember this also, this is called phagocytosis. That means cell eating. Cell eats the food and digests it inside. Okay, the same thing is done by, the same thing happens in your WBCs also. White blood cells also perform phagocytosis. That's the secondary case. How do we digest our food? For digesting the food, we have a digestive system which performs extracellular digestion. So higher animals, so what is the example over here? The example over here is all higher animals. They show what? They show extracellular digestion. But lower animals like amoeba, paramecium, they'll take such stuff for food particle. They will engulf this food particle, take it into the cytoplasm in the form of a food vacuole, and then lysosome will attack these food vacuoles. Lysosomes will release their enzymes, digestive enzymes into the food vacuole, and then digestion of the food particle will start. The food particle will be broken down into simple substances, and then whatever are the substances, they will be absorbed by the cytoplasm, and the waste will be thrown out. So this is entire digestion, absorption, assimilation, digestion, all the steps of nutrition done by the cell. But here the process is different. You have a system, you have a proper system for digestion of food. Then you have to do the absorption, send the digested food into the blood, and then you have assimilation near cells, and then you have excretion where you throw the waste out. So there is complexity. Lower organisms will perform intracellular digestion, higher organisms will perform extracellular digestion. So depending upon organ systems, you again have a variety. Depending upon the organ systems, you again have a variety. Right now, which was the system we analyzed was digestive system. Let us now analyze next system, that is our respiratory system. Let us see the diversity as far as respiratory system is concerned. So the next system which we are going to analyze is respiratory system. Let us see the variety in terms of respiratory system. So respiration here we are talking about the gaseous exchange. Here we are talking about what? We are talking about gaseous exchange. That means uptake of what? Uptake of oxygen and release of what? Release of carbon dioxide. For this thing, we have respiratory system. Like you can think of your system, you have lungs, you have a pair of lungs for performing this job. Now, why do we require oxygen? Why do organisms require oxygen? Organisms require oxygen. Let us analyze this over here. Why do we require oxygen? So why oxygen? Why oxygen? We need oxygen to perform respiration. Now, what is this respiration which we are talking about? Here we are talking about oxidation. That means the breakdown. Oxidation of glucose inside cell to produce ATP. Let us understand this thing. So we are saying that we require oxygen. Let us take our example. Let us take the example of humans. We require oxygen and we throw out carbon dioxide. Okay, that process is called what? Gaseous exchange. And for that gaseous exchange, you have a respiratory system. But why do we require this oxygen? We require this oxygen. Why oxygen? We require the oxygen for performing intracellular respiration. We perform respiration. So same time, see, this is respiration. This is also respiration. But here it is confined to the exchange of the gases. Here we are talking about, let me write down over here, intracellular. So int here means intracellular respiration, whereby we are talking about a cell inside which what is going to happen? C6H12O6, that is glucose. It is to be oxidized, it is to be broken down, and what is to be liberated is ATP. And as a waste, what will be generated is carbon dioxide. The same carbon dioxide is then sent to the blood, and then it comes to the lungs, and then you throw this carbon dioxide out. Now you got a chain. If you want to perform the breakdown of glucose, what do you call intracellular respiration, or what is the oxidation of glucose to produce ATP, you require oxygen. Such a type of respiration you have understood in lower classes. What we call this respiration is aerobic respiration. It occurs in presence of oxygen. Now, what you understand over here is that what is the requirement? Why do we require oxygen? We require oxygen to perform aerobic respiration, to perform oxidation of glucose, to release energy in the form of ATP. And where is this process happening? Inside your cells. And during this process, what is generated is this waste carbon dioxide, which is sent to the blood. Blood carries it to the lungs, and lungs diffuse this carbon dioxide to the environment. You have another type of respiration which takes place in absence of oxygen. For that respiration, you don't require oxygen. That's called anaerobic. What is that respiration called? That's called anaerobic respiration, which takes place in absence of oxygen. Here you don't require any oxygen. This is happening in your body also. This is happening in your muscle cells. This is happening in your muscle cells when you're performing very rigorous exercise. When you're performing a very rigorous exercise, at that point of the time, your muscle cells switch to anaerobic respiration, because at that point of time there's very less amount of oxygen present in your body, and but the body requires continuous supply of ATP. So at that point of time, the cells switch to anaerobic respiration. So don't get confused. Even your body also performs anaerobic respiration, but under special conditions, like during the condition of extensive exercise. At that point of time, when you are performing a very rigorous exercise, that time your muscles perform anaerobic respiration. So one aspect of respiration is internal respiration, where we talk about breakdown or oxidation of glucose that requires oxygen. Here we are going to focus upon the exchange for gaseous exchange. So let us write down. Let me write down for gaseous exchange, and let us analyze this. Okay, for gaseous exchange, to make this oxygen available and to take the carbon dioxide out, different organisms have different structures. Different organisms have, let me write down, different organisms have different structures. So you got 1 point, first of all, why oxygen is needed. That's needed for this stuff, the stuff which is here. We require oxygen for respiration. That too, which respiration? Aerobic respiration. But how is this oxygen brought to the cells? For that, you have some structures. Okay. How is this oxygen brought to the cells? For that, you have some structures. Okay, let me write down the structure correctly. So for that purpose, you have some structures. Let us analyze those structures. So if you look at yourself, let us talk about ourselves. So higher animals, let us talk about higher animals first of all. Let us look at ourselves. So if we talk about higher animals, like all higher animals, the mammals rather, you will see in them what are present: lungs. And lungs help them in gaseous exchange. That means lungs help us in uptake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide from the body. Now let us move below. Let us think about earthworms. Can you guess about earthworms? How do these earthworms perform respiration? Can you guess anything about them? Which is the organ which helps this earthworm in respiration? Earthworm performs respiration by means of its skin. So its moist skin helps it in respiration. Okay, this respiration is, my dear students, it's called cutaneous respiration. What is this respiration called? Cutaneous respiration, which is conducted by the skin. Let us look at the amoeba. Let us look at the unicellular organisms. Let us think about amoeba. How does amoeba perform respiration? It is just one cell. So how does amoeba perform respiration? Amoeba performs respiration by means of its body surface. Its body surface. So here respiration takes place across the plasma membrane. The body surface is helping in respiration. What about the insects and arthropods? Let me write down insects and other arthropods. What do they have for respiration? They have a system of tubes inside their body. They don't have lungs. They have a system of tubes inside the body. That's called the tracheal system, or I'll write down over here, tracheary system. They have which system? They have tracheary system. It is a system of tubes which is present inside their body. And this tracheary system helps them in respiration. We call this respiration tracheal respiration because it is carried out by means of tracheary system. We call it tracheal respiration. These terms are very important. So over here you have to remember that there are some tubular tube-like structures present inside the body, and these tubes are in contact with environment. So these tubes help the organism to take in the oxygen and to release the carbon dioxide out. Okay. So the fifth example is that of the fishes. Now, who doesn't know about fishes? Fishes have this structure which is called gills. They have been provided by gills, and gills help them in respiration. This respiration which is done by gills, you will see the same happening in prawns, happening in unio. They all have gills for respiration. This respiration is called branchial respiration. Branchial respiration done with the help of gills. This is called branchial respiration. Sixth, this respiration which is done by the help of lungs. You have a term for this also. Where lungs help in respiration, we call it what? We call it pulmonary respiration. What do you call it? You call it pulmonary respiration. So you have terms. You have pulmonary respiration, cutaneous, pulmonary respiration by means of lungs, cutaneous respiration by means of moist skin, body surface respiration, where body surface is helping in respiration, tracheal respiration where you have a tracheary system. Tracheary system is present in insects and arthropods. If respiration is done by gills, you call it branchial respiration, which you see in fishes. Similarly, you can see that in case of frogs. Let's remember this also. If you look at frogs, or you think of toads, amphibians they are, okay, you'll see that in them they can perform respiration through the epithelial lining of their buccopharyngeal cavity. So buccopharyngeal, that means the mouth and the pharynx. So in them, the epithelial, let me write down over, epithelial lining of bucco and indicating mouth, and pharyngeal indicating pharynx, buccopharyngeal cavity. So in case of frogs and toads, even respiration, that means exchange of gases, can take place through this epithelium, through this lining of buccopharyngeal cavity also, other than lungs. Okay, so this type of respiration is itself called buccopharyngeal respiration, because here the buccopharyngeal cavity is helping in respiration. That's why you call it buccopharyngeal respiration. Okay, my dear students. Similarly, you can remember about book lungs and book gills. They're very important to remember over here. So let me erase this part. So what is the term I gave you is book lungs and book gills. These are the structures which are present in spiders and king crabs. So the sixth one is, so the seventh example I'll give you over here is that of book lungs. Book lungs are present in spiders for the purpose of respiration, and book gills, they are present in king crab for the purpose of respiration. So you saw that different animals, there is variety of animals based upon the respiratory system. Some perform pulmonary respiration, okay, some perform cutaneous respiration, others perform respiration across body surface, some perform tracheal respiration, some opt for bronchial respiration, some opt for buccopharyngeal respiration, some have book lungs, some have book gills. So much of the variety of animals. Now let us analyze the circulatory system, that we will analyze in the next video. Till then, take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.